We're live.
We're live. Welcome back to the Real Talk Miami.
Welcome back, guys. I'm a little laggy, but I'm super excited. Excited to continue this series.
Yes.
And to be with my co-host.
Jasmine. And Lewis.
All right, welcome to the Real Talk Miami. My name is Jasmine Mousse, and you are?
Luis Perez. We're both real estate professionals here in Miami, Florida, entrepreneurs, and people who just love to talk all things real estate, business, and finance. And on the Real Talk Miami today, we're going to bring you guys some juicy stuff. We're going to be talking about the history of the financial crisis and what has led up to the massive shortage of inventory that we have here today. And
I guess we just, obviously, we always want to involve you guys and see what you want to hear. But then also through the episodes, we're constantly mentioning terms like inventory and prices, and it sounds very redundant.
Yeah.
But we've never given you a reason why and what's led up to this, and so we figured we might as well bring you on or bring you along and just explain to you what's happened throughout the years that's led us to this point in time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it all starts back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So what was it that led up to that big burst in 2008? A lot of people don't know. There was a movie done on it, The Big Short. Yep. But if you want, you could elaborate a little bit on that, and then I'll add up to it as well.
Okay. I think that the best way to put it is we're going to divide this segment into 3 sections, and then at the end, we're going to give you our opinion on what's happening in the future. But 2008 to roughly 2019, the pandemic happened, 2020, beginning 2020?
Yeah, March 2020. I'll never forget. A month before Kobe died.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I was in front of it's not Pizza Hut, Little Caesars.
Little Caesars.
Little Caesars by FIU. I was going to college at that time because I actually had to go back home and continue studying. So 3 months let me start again because I sounded super confusing. I started college fall, I think, finished that semester, and I remember being in my accounting class. That was the last class that I went to. Accounting class, I actually went home, and that was the last day that I went to school because they sent an announcement. But okay, going back to what you said about Kobe, I remember calling Obi, my cousin, and I remember saying, "Oh my God, I'm not into basketball, guys, so please don't judge me." I remember saying, "Obi, I read this article. Someone named Kobe."
A lot of people thought it was fake.
And I was in front of, I'll never forget, I was parked towards the main avenue in front of Little Caesars. So I'll never forget that day.
I was in my room. I opened up a YouTube. I opened up Instagram, and then I just see Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter crash, 44 years old. I don't know how old he was. I was like, what? So I go on Google, and I'm like, no, wait, this can't be real. And so I told all my friends, yeah, a lot of us cried that day.
All right, so now you know what Lewis and I were doing at that time. But going back from 2018, 2008,
yeah, to 2008.
So we're going to start it roughly around there. We're not going to focus on pre-2008, right? Something called the financial bubble, the big market crash, boom, happened, and it was very disastrous for the whole economy, but specifically for the real estate industry. And this was caused by a few different things, which...
For starters, lending was very, I wanted to say, lax. Like they weren't as strict as they are today, because after 2008 and 2010 came the Dodd-Frank Act. And in addition to that, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is the CFPB. So back then, they used to give a mortgage to anybody that could breathe. There was no real verification. They were doing a lot of no-doc loans. And so that added to the crisis. And in addition to that, you had something that they were issuing, which were called mortgage-backed securities. Mortgage-backed securities, which is a part of the movie, The Big Short. They were issuing these mortgage-backed securities that had no real, I wanted to say credit rating, they were just poor securities. And so you had all of these things trickling, and then you also had high interest rates, people with debt up to their necks, and a dot-com boom that just happened a few years prior, which also added to the general inflation that we had. And then before you know it, everything just goes.
And it explodes. Yeah, so we know what happens. 2008 comes around, that explosion. But moving forward, how does this impact construction and inventory, which is, I think, what you guys want to know,
The
and
developers.
how it impacts today? So, because of the 2008 market crash, a lot of people lost their jobs. Let's start off there. A lot of factories, lumber, concrete factories, closed down. The demand for purchasing homes significantly decreased, and
Yeah.
so construction workers just didn't want to build more than what was necessary. They did not want to run the risk of building more than what people were going to buy.
This was a little after 2008.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little after 2008. So everything trickles down. Trickle down economics. But no, everything trickles down. It's a domino effect. So right off the get-go, 2008 happens. Construction workers want to be cautious. Everything is a little bit more expensive.
Of course.
And so they start shifting their focus on building higher end homes, right? Because the margins were much larger. So expensive labor,
Yeah.
expensive materials, and so their solution was, let's focus more on the luxury high end
Yeah,
market.
because those people don't have like an issue
Right,
with affordability.
purchasing a home was not going to be an issue for the higher end market. And aside from that, the margins were much bigger
Right.
than for a starter home.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And so, can you pull up the graph real quick that I have? So this is actually interesting to share. So you have here home builders sentiment since the early 90s, and you could see how cyclical the real estate industry is. But one thing that I want you guys to notice is that little dip in 2008 that it bottomed down around 2010, 2011. It's exactly what Jasmine is saying. During that crash, it took a few years for them to start actually gaining the confidence again to start rebuilding the industry. And obviously, with all those new lending standards that came out, new laws, obviously that helped them to, I guess you could say, motivate themselves to start building more homes. And then, let's zoom in a little bit right there. Look what happens as you get into 2020, 2019, around there. Look at that massive dip.
Yeah. So let's go back. So you guys have already seen that graph. Give me 1 second. Boom. Hey guys, we're back. All right. So we've already explained what the ambience was like back in the day with labor, with material, and so yeah, definitely it contributed to a very to a shortage in inventory, a shortage in homes available for purchase. So keep in mind, this is all happening between 2008 to 2019, 2020, around so. And now let's bring up another topic of conversation, which is 2016. 2016, we have a
Yeah.
new administration, the Trump administration, which, as we all know, it's not a secret.
Yeah.
They're very tight on immigration. And so they're very tight on immigration, and the construction industry actually depends a lot on immigrant labor. And so as these people are unfortunately being deported, there is a smaller pool of people to employ,
Right.
smaller pool
Similar
of
to
people that are
what's
willing to work.
Similar
Listen,
to
today,
today.
and we'll connect the dots later on, but it's very similar to today. We have the same administration with the same policies in mind, the same initiative. A lot of people are being deported, and again, construction work depends heavily on immigrant labor. In addition to that, let's talk about the generation of America, generation of Florida. A lot of younger people do not
Millennials.
want to go into the trades.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to go into the trades, and so we have less people going in, and a good majority of construction workers are leaving.
Yeah.
People with experience are retiring, so there's not enough people complementing the amount that are leaving.
You know, and it's actually ironic because the trades, the world is funny. You know, right now the jobs that are most in demand are, you know, tech, graphic design, things of that nature. But now you also have another beast coming into the picture, which is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence could replace basically all of those jobs, but it probably won't. But I was reading actually an interesting book. It's called AI Superpowers. Highly recommended. AI superpowers. It talks about that. But they predict that within the next 15 to 20 years, most of those jobs, at least half of them, are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence, and then some of them will be complemented. But back to the topic. Now the jobs that are going to be the most in demand in the next 10, 15 years, that they say the most millionaires are going to be made, are going to be the plumbers, electricians, HVAC, those industries. And those are the industries that our generations, the young people, don't want to get their hands dirty with.
Oh, I think you couldn't have said it any better. So, again, let's do a little recap. So, artificial intelligence, some competition going on there. We have not so many people wanting to go into these jobs, getting their hands dirty, physical labor, it's hard work. And a lot of people were leaving the industry at a time. People with experience and expertise,
Yeah.
it was their time to retire. So, there's, what's the right word you would say?
What?
It wasn't compensating. I wanted to say balance, but I wouldn't say that there was a balance in the industry. I wanted to say that there was like a, oh my God, substitution. No,
But what do you referring to?
there's a word for this. When
Equilibrium,
I guess let's go with equilibrium, but
disequilibrium, or shortage. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, maybe the word will come to us soon.
Will come to us soon. But all of this was contributing to, again, very little homes on the market available. So now we get into the pandemic, which is the second period in time that we're going to focus on. So let's do a little quick summary.
Yeah.
Not enough homes being built, more focus on the luxury market,
Correct.
particularly luxury homes and luxury apartments.
Correct.
Okay, we have
High interest rates
high interest rates. We have a shortage of labor.
and an excess of inventory, because there was a lot of inventory in 2008.
Well, but not so much, because even till this day we have a shortage of homes.
But I'm saying that there was a lot of properties sitting on the market in 2008 in comparison to today
Okay, so
that nobody wanted to buy. Yeah, nobody wanted to buy those homes.
okay, so yes, to clarify, we're referring to resale homes.
Yeah,
Okay,
resales, exactly.
and then as far as material goes, cost of labor is expensive.
Lumber.
We have a shortage of factories, and sorry to be redundant, but that's the word that I'm gonna stick to today. Shortage of materials. They're expensive as it is. And going back to the Trump administration, at the same time that those immigration policies were being deployed, we also have tariffs being put in place,
Yeah.
which make the cost of lumber and concrete in particular go up.
Yep,
So Canada is a very big supplier of lumber,
yep.
okay? The tariffs are put in place, prices of material go up, but then boom, the pandemic happens.
Boom, the
So-
pandemic. But there's a short period of time leading up to the pandemic where interest rates were essentially at 0%. Everybody's buying homes. Everybody's kind of happy. But developers, the people who build, are somewhat still, weary. And then take it off with the pandemic.
Happens. Now that adds more pressure because prices, well, let me not start off with prices. Let me start off with mortgage rates. Fell to significantly or historically low levels. So people want to jump on the wagon. Now there's more demand for homes. Okay, prices go up. But even then, there are still little homes on the market. So everything was bursting up.
I think the shortage of homes was the United States was like 5 million homes short, right?
Yeah.
Or currently?
Nowadays, we have a shortage of approximately 5 million homes.
That's insane.
And that number was was calculated by the National Association of Realtors.
That's insane. I mean, 5 million homes.
Yeah, and population continues to grow. Continues to grow. There's a lot of people that, again, we talked about this in the last segment, that want to move to Miami, to these central hubs. But going back, growing demand. Now we have mortgage rates at historically low levels. People want to jump on the wagon. Why? Because you can borrow much more money, and your monthly costs would be that much lower.
Yeah.
I believe I have an example here.
And even back then, just to joke around, even back then, people were still saying, 3% interest rates mortgage rates are not enough. I'm waiting for them to go to 1%. So you always have people that are trying to save little pennies.
I actually have an example here. Like in 2019, and I'm gonna go ahead and use my notes. A $300,000 mortgage at a 4.5 mortgage rate was about $1,520 a month. Then take it forward to 2020. That same loan at 2.7% interest rate, we're talking about $1,220 a month. So about $300 less every month.
For what average price?
Average price of a $300,000 mortgage.
Yeah. Today interest rates are like a 6.5.
Six and a half. So we're very big difference. And so again, that demand caused pressure. Now we have homeowners raising the price of homes.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, this
Something after the pandemic triggered people psychologically to want to buy property.
well, they were stuck at home all day, working from home, living at home,
Yeah.
doing their hobbies at home, exercising at home.
Yeah. This is something that's going to be studied, I think. Definitely.
For sure.
Because it was a big trigger. I mean, it was such a huge rush. Like, you remember the stories, and you remember seeing it yourself. For open houses, there was people that were lining up, and the line would go to like the street. Like there was hundreds of people going to open houses. People were buying up properties. Like it was just a weird time, and like it's like we're supposed to act like we forgot. It's crazy.
No, for sure. I mean, all of that time was weird. I kept
Yeah.
asking myself, when is it gonna be over? When is it gonna be over? Because I
Hey,
actually never pictured.
you were wearing a mask for like 6 years after the pandemic.
Guys, keep in mind, I was living with my grandparents. I had to take care of myself and them.
Oh,
But yeah,
well, sorry.
yeah, you're excused. But I think it was scary for everyone. A lot of people passing away,
Yeah.
being affected. I have someone, she's a distant family member that actually passed away within the week. She could not sustain it. She got COVID, and after a week, she passed away. So very sad, very unfortunate, and like that, I'm sure there are other
Yeah.
cases. So let's continue with the conversation.
Yeah.
So 2020 happens. We already know what's going on with mortgage rates. We know what's going on with the demand for homes. We know that there's an increase in population. Emotions start to change. Public opinion. More people want starter homes, but there's a lack of starter homes because aside from I mean, everything else going on, construction had slowed down significantly.
During COVID, yeah, everything turned off.
During COVID, everything shut off. It was difficult to get materials to be transported. Things were delayed. Aside from labor being short, then we have something being dragged on from 2008, which is a shortage of materials because there was a shutdown of the factories. And
It's a trickling effect. It almost feels like another one is coming.
well,
We haven't recovered fully.
now let's get into, I mean, more or less after the pandemic to 2025. What are your opinions? We still have a shortage of homes. Today, we have about more.
In the United States,
Yeah, in the United States.
yeah.
But if we focus on Miami, we also have a shortage of homes in general on average. Miami-Dade County has
Historically
more than-
speaking, yeah.
Yeah, historically speaking, it's very low. We have, I'd say, more than 5,000 homes available on the market. More than 5,000.
No, a little more than 5,000. Yeah, and total properties on the market is probably like 15, 20,000.
15, 20,000. But if we focus on single-family homes
Yeah.
in Miami-Dade County, we have more than 5,000.
The low from like 2 or 3 years ago. No, wait, sorry, no. It was actually 2020. We're in 2025. We're almost in 2026. The low like a year and a half ago was like 17 or 1,600 single family homes. I mean, when you put that into perspective with the amount of people that live here in Miami-Dade County, it's crazy to think. But today there's an excess of 5,000 or 6,000 for sure. So it more than quadrupled in that short period of time. Interest rates are like at 6.6. They're predicting next year. I think Morgan Stanley was the one that predicted they're going to cut rates probably like 6 or 7 times. Today, Jerome Powell was going to make a speech. I don't know what the result of that was because it started more or less around the time that we were in this room. But the market looks like it's reacting positively to those news. I know the S&P 500 was up, Bitcoin is up. So if rates do, in fact, go down like they anticipate, I expect if it goes under 6%, there's going to be a humongous influx of new buyers into the market. And I have people in my database right now that are telling me the same thing. All of them are saying the same thing. Interest rates are too high. Interest rates are too high. They don't really care that much about the prices. For some reason, they care more about the interest rate, which obviously it makes sense. But I expect if it goes under 6%, it's going to be interesting.
But then prices are going to shoot back up.
They're going to.
I mean, prices on average
Very
have been
likely.
going up.
Yeah.
But
it's real estate.
that happens, it shoots back up. There's going to be a bunch of people rushing to go buy homes. So I personally, I mean, again, we always recommend this. Guys, if the circumstances are right for you, do not wait for the moment that interest rates drop. Because the moment that that happens, you will be in the same position as thousands of other people. And then your window to buy is going to very quickly shut or close down like quicksand. It will be closed down. So I think there's a combination of stuff at play here that you guys have to put into perspective. Now, I want to bring back what we talked about, which was in 2016, we had a change of administration. A new administration. Now that same administration is in office, Donald Trump. And we know that his policies are part of his initiative plan in these next 4 years.
Yeah.
Is to tighten up on immigration.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that construction labor depends highly on immigration work. And you and I have seen in Miami, when you drive to Home Depot, before you'd see a lot of immigrants waiting patiently.
We assume that they are immigrants. I think they are.
I'm assuming, but we know that they're waiting on the sidelines, on the curb.
Yeah, now it's empty.
Asking for jobs, whether they're looking to paint, whatever. They're offering their handyman skills. And now it's completely empty. You don't see anyone in the Home Depot area waiting or asking for jobs.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what's happening across the country and how it's going to impact negatively. I think it's much more expensive to build now than it was.
No, it's a lot more expensive.
before.
And I actually talked to a client of mine yesterday regarding that because I sold him a house last month. And he's a painter. He works with construction, but he has his guys doing, he gets good deals from his guys because they're his guys. He recommends them a lot of work and all that. But, to just change the floors in his house, they charged him like $14,000 for 1,400 square feet. So those numbers, I mean, for people that know about construction, they know that that's extremely, expensive. But he was telling me stories about how some of his workers, and we're not going to get too much into this politics, but some of his workers have been taken from job sites and things like that. And it's just not. It's kind of sad what's happening, but it is what it is,
And so, what would you say is the reason why prices have not dropped?
Well, I wouldn't say prices have not dropped. They have been going down. There's a lot more price decreases today than there were last year,
Right.
by far, by a big margin. The prices are going down, but I would say that what's holding people mostly back is like what we mentioned earlier. It's just, I think, high interest rates.
So, would you say that 2008 could repeat itself very soon?
I don't think so, because we're going to have to go back to 2008 again. But a big difference between 2008 and today was more people have equity today in their homes than they did back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Today, more than half of homeowners have at least 60 to 70% in equity in their properties. In 2008, they were actually underwater on their loans.
Actually, I also want to interrupt and add something that's also contributing to today's market. A lot of people are choosing not to sell their homes because of such a good interest.
Yeah, they're locked in.
They're locked in.
They're a
not gonna
slave to
sell.
that rate.
Yeah. They're not going to sell because it's just going to be that much more expensive to buy a new home in today's market, price-wise. And
That's what you hear all the time. I have so many people that want to sell, but they're like, but where do I go? And I'm like, do you want to stay in Miami?
that actually happened the other day. Someone walked into the office.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was debating whether or not to sell his home or do a refinance.
Refinance the
It
property.
wasn't a refinance. It was
Reverse mortgage.
hipoteca reversible, a reverse mortgage. So he was debating between those three, either refinance, reverse mortgage, or what do you call it? Sell his home. And he actually told us as he walked out, he was like, I'm put in a pickle because if I sell my home, where do I go? Where do I go?
Checkmate.
I will not find. He was living in a single family home, 3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms, very spacious. Where do I go? And he was actually pretty sad about that. And like him, there are multiple people that would like to change, but
They're
for right
trapped.
now, it's just not in the cards for them.
But all in all, where you know, for the closing, where do you see us heading in the next, I don't know, 6, 12 months? We know none of us have a crystal ball, but what do you anticipate coming next from what you've seen? You know, it doesn't have to be accurate. It's just a prediction.
I don't think that much is going to change this year. I don't think that much is going to change this year. I think that everything's going to maintain, I guess you could say, steady. Um,
Yeah, I mean, we're already at the end of the year, kind of.
I see things changing after February, after the holiday time has passed. Most activity in the market is seen during the summer months. Right now, I think everything is going to hold off. I don't think mortgage rates are going to drop significantly this year. I think changes will be seen next year. I think overall it's been a very slow year for the market. So my prediction is, to get to the point, long story short, is that mortgage rates will not change until next year. I think the market is going to pick up sometime around February. Yes, inventory will slightly go up, but yeah, inventory will slightly go up, but not enough to sustain the growth of population.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Well, I think that's a good summary of what has led up to today, from 2008, early 2000s to 2025, with why builders are, you know, not having that much confidence, why the market is slow, I guess you could say, why interest rates are high, and what caused the financial crisis. Would you like to add anything else to it?
No, I think we could have put it better. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Definitely a lot more to come, so please stay tuned. If you have any questions, any curiosities that you'd like answered, feel free to comment in the comment section down below. We'll be posting this on all our social media
And subscribe.
applications, and subscribe and share this with someone that you think this might be of help. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Anything else that I'm missing? TikTok?
Yeah, we're basically on all apps at The Real Talk Miami, Spotify as well. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode next week. It's going to be an interesting one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.